Dan Illman, Matt Bernie, you're kicking off a 50-cent pick 4 and a 50-cent pick 5 with race number 7 at Oaklawn Park on Rebel Stakes Saturday. The Grade 2 Azeri Stakes for fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th. The local prep for the prestigious Grade 1 Apple Blossom Handicap. You can bet this nice Saturday card at Oaklawn with a DRF Bets account. And if you're already a member, you get a first post bonus. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1. Any horse. You get a $10 bonus. DRF.com/preps. Let's meet the field for the Grade 2 Azeri. Morning line favorite, somewhat surprising to me, is the Keeneland graduate, the number 2 Midnight Bisou. Mike Smith has the mount. 6-5 on the morning line for a filly that finished 3rd in last year's Breeders' Cup Distaff, and she had to work hard to win her seasonal debut, Matt. That was the Houston Ladies Classic. Now, I know she didn't have a lot of pace to run at, but I was getting a little bit worried there at the 8th pole at 1-5.
Was a little bit more work, I think, than any of us anticipated it to be. I still think, okay, she may have only won by 3/4 of a length, but I think she was very clearly the best in there, like you say, given the pace situation. And if you really believe it was nothing more than a means to an end, a starting off point, get a race under her belt leading into this series of races, leading into the Apple Blossom, then, you know, I suppose it was a totally fair effort. There is a part of me that looks at Midnight Bisou, though, and says, as consistent as she is, she's never been out of the money in 12 lifetime starts. I don't think she's ever run exceptionally fast. She's run that 1:01 in the cotillion. Otherwise, her career best buyer is 94. She did that in her 4th lifetime start, and she's got 94s dotted throughout her page.
This is her distance, however, a perfect 5 for 5 at this trip. She is 1 for 7 at all other distances. Do you think Midnight Bisou can be closer to the pace if need be? Because we have seen, going back to the Alabama, that she has been more of a mid-pack to late-running sort.
I think if you get a pace more similar to what we saw in the Mother Goose, and I recognize that's a 1-turn mile and a 16th at Belmont, I think that's a chance or an opportunity where she can be a little bit closer to the pace if need be. And I need to clarify, I said she hasn't run particularly fast. A 94 might be good enough to win this race, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for a big triple-digit buyer, she's done it one time in 12 lifetime starts, and there's another filly in here, or mare, who we'll talk about, who I think it's well within her range of a 100 buyer.
One of the advantages Midnight Bisou has over her main competition, the number 5 Elate, is recency. She has that run at Sam Houston. Elate is making her first start off of a 203-day layoff. We all remember that controversial race, the Grade 1 Personal Ensign at Saratoga, where it looked like she and Abel Tasman were going to be in a real spirited stretch duel when she got bumped very hard in the lane and she lost a heartbreaker despite running a 105 buyer speed figure. Now, she had a splint injury after that race. It's taken Bill Mott a long time to get her back to the races. Sometimes these mares don't come back. This distance could be a little bit short for her, but she has run very well fresh in the past, and she's got a ton of class.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just looking at it strictly from a talent standpoint, I think Elate is the most talented horse in the race. Now, like you made mention, she's been gone for some time. She has fired fresh in the past, no question about it. The Personal Ensign, you know, it's going to be very, very interesting to me anyway to see not only what version of Elate we get here on Saturday, but going forward, because we saw, obviously, it's taken a little while for her to get back to the races, and we saw what it did to Abel Tasman. It basically sapped her dry. So, you know, you look at it, and sometimes those really, really hard knockdown, drag-out races, they end up going to the bottom of the tank, and I'm just going to be very curious to see what we get from Elate here.
Let's throw up that Timeform US pace projector for this race, because this is a quality field, but there is not a lot of speed. Interesting that we do see Elate sitting 2nd. I think the connections would be very happy if that blue bar that Timeform US projects, favoring horses on or near the early lead, is true. The connections of Elate would be very happy to be sitting 2nd early ahead of the main competition, Midnight Bisou. Let's talk about the likely leader. That's Tapa coming off a big win at this distance at Tampa Bay Downs last time out. This is obviously a gigantic leap in class for a horse that might be a Tampa Bay horse for course.
Yeah, to me, that's kind of the big thing. Not only is the class a serious question, sure, she's got a tactical advantage. She just takes her game to another level when she's at Tampa, and when she's elsewhere, she is fine and just fine. And unfortunately, I don't think fine is going to be good enough to get the job done Saturday.
Third start of the form cycle for high percentage trainer Carl Broberg's number 3, Summers Indy, rightfully 30-1 on the morning line. This horse's best Beyer speed figure came in her most recent start. It was only an 82. I can see her close to the pace in this spot, but boy, this is an $20,000 claimer that's going to have to run the race of her life.
I think it's another one of those instances, though, where you knew this was going to be a small but select field, and I think you do take the chance. You go, you know what, Midnight Bisou, her most recent run, it was fine. It was workmanlike. Elate, who knows if she can still go. Tappa is a different animal when she's away from Tampa. Eskimo Kisses, who we'll get to, is coming off of a long layoff. If you think you can potentially hit the board, get that graded stakes placing, I understand totally why they're here.
This is a quality field. Grade 1 winner in Elate, Grade 1 winner in Midnight Bisou, Breeders' Cup winner in the 6, Shamrock Rose. She did it in the filly and mare sprint, going 7 furlongs 2 starts back, a race in which she benefited from a wicked pace up front. She didn't get that sort of situation last time out in the Hurricane Birdie, and she might not have liked that sloppy track. She has performed well around 2 turns in the past. I think we'll find out if she's more of a closing sprinter or if she truly can contend against the top ones going long.
We'll find out. Like you say, I don't really know one way or the other. Now, she is proven going 2 turns, but that's predominantly been on synthetic surfaces. I don't know how that translates to the main track. And again, even if this isn't going to be an issue for her, 2 turns on the main track, boy, we're talking about the cream of the crop here. We're talking about some of the best fillies and mares that theoretically are still in training. You know what? She could do it. I'm going to sit back and watch.
And the late runner in this field that might not be happy by that time form U.S. pace projector is the number 4 Eskimo Kisses, yet another Grade 1 stakes winner. We have not seen her since the Keeneland Fall meet, however. She won the Alabama 2 starts back at 1.25 miles, and Jose Ortiz just gave her one of the rides of the year, altering her down to the inside on the turn, then easing her out, showing off this filly's gears, and Eskimo Kisses then did the rest, utilizing her stamina to whip Midnight Bisou that day. 1.16 miles, perhaps a little bit short for her. I would think that this might be a starting off point for the Apple Blossom. I'm not sure if Kenny McPeek's going to have Eskimo Kisses fully cranked, and that pace scenario worries me.
No, 100%. I look at this and say this really genuinely feels like a means to win, and not that it's not for the other girls coming off the layoff. But we all know Eskimo Kisses needs more distance to really be at her best. I think they would be very, very pleased with a late run from her and getting her ready to move forward next out.
Top pick for the Grade 2 Azeri, kicking off a 50-cent pick 4, 50-cent pick 5 on Rebel Saturday. We're both going with Elate. In Mott we trust. Despite the layoff, again, it is 203 days. Again, it is a distance slightly shorter than her best. But when Elate is at her best, she might just be better than these.
Boy, you look at some of her best races, really, and I hope it's not lost on people. Some of her best races are really, really exceptional, even with that personal ensign where she didn't quite get there, and obviously you brought up the controversy. But I feel like if she shows up with, let's say, her B game, I think it's going to give everybody else a real handful. If she comes back with her A game, she's simply the best horse, I think.
Give me numbers.
5-2-4.
5-2-6 for me in the Grade 2 Azeri, race number 7 on Rebel Saturday at Oaklawn. Remember that first post bonus, all you DRF Bets members. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1. Win or lose, you get a $10 bonus. Learn more, drf.com/preps. Approximate post time for Elate's return to the races, 4:21 Central. Good luck.